Hi friends, this is Caitlin and welcome back for another video. Today we're going to be playing with some of the new Honeybee Stamps Halloween goodies. I got my order in and I was so excited to play. So this little pack is a freebie that's like a thank you gift when you place an order, or a big enough order, I guess. And one of the papers in here is this beautiful like skeleton moth paper and I absolutely love it. So we're going to be using that today, as well as the Perfect Potions shaker jars. These can be used as regular jars or shakers. Today we're just going to go with regular. I'm also pulling in the Hocus Pocus sentiments and coordinating dies. I am obsessed with Honeybee's coordinating dies for their sentiments. And then the last thing I'm pulling in is the Grain and Grunge paper pad, which is so nice. Honeybee just switched their paper pad size, so you can get two full A2 size panels, I believe, out of each of these papers, and I love it. So we're going to be using a little bit of this dark gray, almost black wood grain to create a little table for our jars to sit on. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button now before we jump into the cards so you never miss any really fun, crafty videos from me every Friday. I'm starting out today by folding a side folding A2 size card base to start building my whole card on. I'm trying really hard to be building straight onto a card base so I don't have any excuses later for not turning my panels into actual cards. So I'm going to be using that moth background pattern paper as almost like a wallpaper. I don't know what witchy house this shelf lives in, but I think that this being the wallpaper there is extremely fitting. The moths on this are just so cute. And the colors are beautiful. So I use the colors to kind of base all of my other color decisions off of. And then I just cut a strip of this wood grain down to size. I kind of just held it up to see where it made sense for my jars to sit. And I'm just adding some tape runner to the back of that to adhere it down. I did decide to use the entire moth panel just so that everything would lay nice and flat and even across my card versus trimming it and trying to line everything up. I didn't have the willpower in me on this day to do that. So I started out by peeling off all of my little dies for the Perfect Potion jars. And I'm going to cut the corks out of this Neenah Desert Storm cardstock just so that they already have a little bit of color to them. The texture that this die gives with the little like imprinted embossed lines is so cute. It's just so stinking cute. So then I cut the main parts of the bottles from some Copic Express It paper because I am going to be Copic coloring these jars, and I put the frames back. I decided for today that I was just going to be making regular jars with these, and I do have a project coming up in the next couple weeks before Halloween, sharing with you this as full like shakers. So keep an eye out for that. We'll kind of have a part 2 to this video. But in the meantime, I just really wanted to play with kind of coloring these up and working on coloring in kind of liquids that would be inside. So I started out with my Copic shading in my little corks. I'm just adding some Copic marker along one edge and then kind of where the top turns away from the side. Just to define that out, and I use the same colors and kind of the same shading technique on both corks, just obviously one is shorter and rounder and the other one's a little bit skinnier. And then for my bottles, I started by going in with some B markers, some super light B markers, just to start shading in the glass part and kind of start creating the reflective kind of surface that the bottles would create. I'm going to color in this first one. I mean, they're all sped up, but the first one I've colored in is a little bit slower. The other ones I'm going to color I definitely sped up a lot just to save time, and I use the same techniques on all of them. I'm just kind of adjusting my shading depending on the size and shape of the bottle. So I'm going in with the B00 marker, the B00, and then going in with the B00 to blend that out for all of my little jars, kind of just as a starting point, and then I'll jump into adding in different colors for those liquids. I started out with coloring in the liquids on this main larger bottle, and I'm going in with these YR markers, kind of creating a golden sort of orange. This is what I mean when I said I was inspired by the colors of the wallpaper. I'm definitely pulling kind of those same tones into this bottle, and to create this kind of liquid effect, I am kind of lining each of the sides, and then I kind of made a soft S, almost like a little hill curve going from the upper left towards the lower right, and then kind of went from the halfway point up to the right to make them even. And then I'm just shading all of my colors in from there, creating a little bit of a highlight up on that top area, that top upper right kind of corner. And I just think that gives kind of that little peak, almost like, you know, the table got shaken a little bit and the liquid's kind of moving around. This might not be super realistic to what it would look like in real life, but I think it definitely kind of gives your eye a clear view of what you're trying to create. It's easier to kind of tell what's happening. So once I had that all blended, I went in and added the little cork. I also added some glue and attached the kind of like lip or rim of the bottle back over the cork. And I added more of that blue marker to the bottom section of the cork, so it looks like it's kind of tucked into that glass. I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure there has to be a better way to kind of make that still be visible but not as dramatic. I don't know. I like how it turned out. I think it looks really cute. So for this, it's good enough for me. So I went in then with some white gel pen to add shine lines over everything. And I found that by adding them over the glass and onto the liquid, it really helps to give that look of, you know, the glass being shiny all over, which I really liked. So I also added some more kind of lighter yellowy golden colors to the upper part of the bottle, as if you can see hints of the wallpaper shining through where the liquid is not. And I will continue that kind of theme across all of these bottles. So this little guy that looks to me kind of like a martini shaker got some of my darker R markers, kind of a maroon potion inside. And you can see I'm adding in those same yellow tones. I also added some blue to the little marble stopper in this one. I really wasn't positive how to execute this to make it look right, so I kind of just guessed and like just winged it. But I do like it. I think it definitely works. Next time I think I would play around with adding some different colors, or even making the marble kind of out of the cork, because I'm pretty sure that's a thing. So you can see I'm kind of just placing my bottles on my little card-based table situation to make sure that I like where this is headed. And then the teeniest little bottle got some YG markers, kind of going for an army green. And the same thing, adding the yellows in at the top, adding the cork and the little rim of the bottle. And these are just so stinking cute. So I did kind of rearrange where my bottles go. Once I saw how everything was laying out, I decided to switch my green and my red. I glued my main big bottle down first flat with liquid glue. Sorry. And then I went in with foam tape on the other two bottles just to give them a little bit of dimension. These are the Simon Says Stamp little foam squares, and I love them because they add a hint of dimension without adding a ton of bulk. And then I realized that if you could see the wallpaper through, it would only make sense to be able to see that back bottle as well as some of the table through the bottles as well. So I'm just going in with the medium and lightest shades of that yellow and then a little bit of that B00 to add a hint of bottle or potion through the corners of these other bottles. I just think this gives such a cute little hint of extra kind of dimension and detail, and I love the effect of it. And then I also went in with some warm gray markers over the green top of the green bottle area, and then partially across some of the red bottle, just to give that idea that you can see the end of the shelf or the table through that glass as well, so it wouldn't be as bright. You could make this much more dramatic. Obviously, I just wanted it to be a little bit subtle, especially because I already had everything colored up. I didn't kind of want to overdo it and then have to start over, especially because I had already glued them down. So I grabbed the I Put a Spell on You from the Sentiment Hocus Pocus Sentiment set, and I am stamping that on the little piece of wood grain that I had trimmed off to create my shelf. I went in with some anti-static powder tool and then some Versamark watermark or embossing ink, and the Simon Says Stamp cream off-white embossing powder, just because there were so many warm tones in this piece that I thought a creamy color would be a little bit nicer and kind of keep everything warmed up versus a very stark white. So I melted my embossing powder and then used the coordinating die to trim that out. I love how a perfectly die cut sentiment looks on a card. It doesn't even matter what theme it is. It doesn't matter what style is. I always love it. That's what I'm finding out about myself this Halloween season. So I added some foam tapes to my sentiment as well, and then popped that up in that corner. You can see I kind of play around with placement on that. I was kind of guessing if I wanted it down at the bottom or up in the corner, but from the beginning I kind of decided that I wanted it up in that corner. So I futzed with it a little bit, and then once I felt good about it up there, I pressed it down into place. I thought about adding some glitter to this, but I really wanted to let those bottles shine and my coloring shine through. So that is this card complete. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you'll try out some fun Copic coloring when you have a chance. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me today. I'm so grateful for that. And for you, I hope you have an amazing week. And as always, happy crafting.